Hello, student. My name is Professor Samuel Mayodele from Biological Sciences Department, Faculty of Sciences. To handle this, I have been handling this course, and we are into Module 2. The Module 2 is the characteristics, structure, and classification of major group of fungi. So, and then we have some objectives of this Module 2. So, the intended learning outcome also is that at the end of this unit, students should be able to list the major fungal classes of interest. Then students should also be able to describe the structural features of each class, describe the different types of spores produced by each group, and list the various orders in each class of fungi, and also students should be able to describe reproduction in the major classes of fungi. So the main classification of fungi are into two groups, the lower fungi and the higher fungi. And then under the lower fungi, we have very primitive members in which their structure is very primitive. Their mycelium, if they have at all, are synocytic, that is, they have no cross wall. And then these lower fungi include the Chytromycetes, the Oomycetes, and the Zygomycetes. While under the higher fungi, they are complex fungi and they have complex structures. In fact, their mycelia have septate, or what we call cross wall. So, and all species of these members are terrestrial. Some of them have conidia in their gametes, that is, if at all they are present, and then these gametes are not motile, as we found in the lower fungi that are mostly in aquatic environment. So under the higher fungi, we have Ascomycetes, we have Basidiomycetes, and we have the Deuteromycetes. So the class of Chytromycetes under the lower fungi, so the members of this group, as we have said, they are lower fungi, and they are classified into 4 orders. We have 4 orders under the class Chytromycetes, and the 4 orders that are there are the Chytrideales, the Blastodeales, the Monobiparideales, and Apochytrideales. These are the 4 orders that are recognized under the class of Chytromycetes. So the lowest fungi ever studied are the Chytrides of the family Chytridaceae, and they are in the order Chytrideales. So they produce motile spores, and the motile spores are called zoospores. Then the zoospores are planogametes in nature, and the group possesses a single hiplous flagellum. So the flagellum is located posteriorly, that is at the tail end of the spores, of the zoospores. So they have a synocytic thallus, which is made up of a simple hyphae, and the thallus is well developed in them. So where are they found? Chytrids are mostly aquatic fungi, and but there are some of them that can be found on soil, particularly where the soil is wet. So, and then many members are parasitic, particularly on angiosperm, the higher plant. So, and they can be collected and cultivated easily using bait. And some of the bait that we use include the fruit, the pollen grain, the boiled grass blades, the egg albumen, the cellophane, the nectar of flowers, petals, insects, exuphia, dead insects. These are some of the bait that are used to cultivate the Chytridomycetes. So the colonies are often inside or outside the bait when it is formed. Then how their structure look like, that is the somatic structure of the chytrids. So, and as we have said earlier on, that they are very primitive, and they are unicellular in nature. The structure is holocarpic, and when we say it is holocarpic, it means you can only the structure is separated to both reproductive and vegetative structure. So the same somatic structure serve for both vegetative and reproductive purposes. Then it is in the higher members, there are few rhizoid for anchorage, and the rhizode also is for nutrition. So it means the rhizode serve two purposes. It anchors the organisms as well as absorb nutrient for the organisms. Then when we look at the evolutionary trend of chytrid, the somatic structure range from simple holocarpic to ocarpic, and it also ranges from simple cell to simple rhizode to complex rhizode and extensive rhizomycelium that are found in the chytrids. Then how did they carry out their reproduction? That is reproduction in chytrid. Then they carry out sexual reproduction, but it is very complex, and it can take some forms which include planogametic copulation, whereby two swimming gametes will conjugate and form a zygote. So, and when the gametes are equal in size, the copulation is said to be exogamous. Then we have a gametangial copulation that is found also in chytrid, and the body of the gametangia of two gametes will fuse to form a zygote, and the entire protoplasm of one gametangium will fuse to another one. So, and the two fuse together, after which cleavage occur, and spore will now result in the conjugation. So then we have somatogamy, where the gamete will pass from the rhizode to zygote, which form a resting gamete, that is the spore, which later germinate and later release the spores at maturity. Then we look at the class Oomycetes, and then this group of fungi, we formerly know them as water mold, but in 1925, some members were isolated from soil, so they are no longer completely living in water. So we can find some of them on land. So, and because of the isolation, the time of water mold has been dropped. So we do not refer to them anymore as water mold. Then under the class Oomycetes, we have some others, which include Sapolegnalis, we have Legnalis. These are some of the others that are found under the class Oomycetes. So, and in the Sapolegnalis, so we have Phycomycetes, which is also aquatic fungi, and then they have a well-developed mycelium, and then the sexual and asexual reproduction in them also have bifurcated zoospores, and then no periplasm is found in the Ogonia, and they comprise the water molds. So the Legnidalis also. So it is the subclass of Oomycetes, and they are mostly parasitic in algae and water molds, and that have a simple or somewhat branched holocarpic thallus in them. That is the members of this order, Legnidalis. Then the Leptomytalis is also another order that is found in the class Oomycetes. Then we have Peronosporalis as another order. So we have all these two others also, which include the one we have just mentioned now. Then when we look at the examples, the typical examples of this class is Sapolegnia ferrax, and then we have Sapolegnia parasitica, that is the one that parasitize fish in the aquatic environment and other aquatic organisms. Then how do the somatic structure of the members of Oomycetes look like? They have extensive mycelia, and the mycelia are usually filamentous and synocytic in nature. So the mycelia is filamentous and synocytic. Then we have the class Zygomycetes. These are the terrestrial fungi, and they do not have motor sporangiospores and zygospores. So, and some members are saprophytic and some are parasitic in nature. The typical examples of this group are mucor and rhizopus. So the mucor particularly are usually in abundance in the soil. We find them mostly in the soil, and they are also found in manure, also in fruit and vegetables. They have white or gray mycelia that is found in them, and the mycelia are not septate. And mucor may grow in yeast-like form instead of filamentous form. So the yeast-like is unicellular. So, but normally they are supposed to grow in form of a filament, but at times they could grow in form of yeast, which is unicellular. Then the class Ascomycetes, and this group of fungi form what we call ascospores, and these ascospores that are formed are found in the sac-like structure. So some of them are parasitic on plant or animals too, and they carry out a fission during their reproduction. So all fission yeasts belong to this class, and then the group reproduce by transfer division and by formation of ascospores. So the genus Saccharomyces reproduces by budding, which is a member of the group. So, and then the genus is used in the fermentation of beer and production of wine. So this is Saccharomyces is used in the breweries as well as in the formation in the production of wine. Then we use some type of yeast also in bakery, so to raise the flour during the baking process. And then through hybridization, we can form new yeast, or a strain of yeast can develop through hybridization. Then the class Basidiomycetes, some members of this group are parasitic on plants and animals. So the members form basidospores on a club-shaped basidium. And then the group include the mushroom. An example of mushrooms are Agaricus and Amanita. So Agaricus are edible mushrooms and they are cultivated mushrooms. So, but in the case of Amanita, Amanita is a very poisonous mushroom, so it is not edible at all. Then no member of this class of Basidiomycetes is implicated in the human diseases, except recently that it was discovered that a member called Cryptococcus neoformans cause diseases, and the type of diseases it causes is cryptococcosis, which is a systemic mycosis in man. So now we look at the major groups of fungi as we have just seen them, and the major group of fungi, they have their distinguished characteristics as we have just enumerated. From there you can identify them on the basis of those characteristics, and those major groups that we have already classified them to lower and higher fungi. And then under the lower fungi we have the Pseudomycetes, the Oomycetes, and the Zygomycetes. While under the higher fungi, so these higher fungi, as I've said earlier on, they do not have septate mycelia, and the members include Ascomycetes, the Basidiomycetes, and Deuteromycetes. So from there, again, we will stop because that is the end of this module 2. Thank you very much.